I've been shopping secondhand and pre-loved since 2017, so over the years I have definitely built up a list of tips and tricks and kind of secret ways I find the best items pre-loved. A lot of you have been asking me recently to share these secrets with you, so that's what I'm doing today. This is a video all about my top tips for shopping pre-loved. Before we talk about all of the items on the rail behind me, yes, I did find all of these pieces secondhand. I do have a few bags just out of frame here because I want to talk about designer handbags first. Probably the most popular item and the most common item that people search for secondhand. So I definitely have a few tips and tricks up my sleeve after buying 3 or 4 designer handbags secondhand. I personally have never bought a designer handbag new, and I don't quote me on this, but I don't think I ever will. Maybe aside from if I had the opportunity to buy a Birkin one day, that obviously go up in value and, you know, are more expensive on the secondhand market. Other than that, for brands like Celine, Loewe, Prada, those brands that I do really love some of their designs but just cannot justify the price tags of, I always go secondhand. I've found some amazing designer handbags over the years. Some items that honestly I never thought I would be able to own and wear, and so I'm so excited that I managed to get them at a fraction of their retail cost. This was a bag I bought earlier this year. This is the Loewe QB bag. It's a little bit of a hidden gem, I think, from Loewe because it's a canvas bag, so it's slightly more affordable to begin with. I think this retails for about £1,000 brand new. I found this bag for £300 on Vinted earlier in the year. As you might suspect, I was a little bit dubious about that price point initially, especially because this one came new with tags. It had never been worn. And this leads very nicely to my tip number 1, which is to always authenticate your designer items, ideally before you hand over any money. This is so important with the rise of fakes and counterfeits on the market these days. You never know, even if an item to your eye looks like it could be legitimate, you really never know, and you really want an expert to take a look at your item, ideally before you even make the purchase. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. So today's video is sponsored by legit Grails, who are an online authentication service. They enable you to send in photos of an item you are thinking of buying, or perhaps an item you have already bought, and authenticate it through an online service. When they first reached out, I was initially really impressed because they have the option to authenticate your items within 30 minutes if you want to. They have different tiers, so you can pick how quickly you need a response. They have over 250 different brands on there as well, so it isn't just the really big luxury houses. They have all sorts of different brands, from really high-end to more mid-tier designers. So I thought I would use my bargain Loewe bag as a little bit of a test for them and see what they think of this bag. So I went onto their website. It was really easy to go through the process. All you have to do is click on the brand of the item you want to authenticate. You then put in some pictures and they tell you exactly what to photograph, so there are no questions about what you need to include. It's generally a picture of the front of the bag or the item, the branding, so the logo, the label inside, the hardware if that has branding on it as well. They tell you all of this, you upload the pictures one by one. I wanted this to be speedy because I wanted to see if they could actually do it in 2 hours. So I clicked the 2-hour option, I paid the fee, and lo and behold, it did come back as authentic in under 2 hours. So the photos actually go through 2 rounds of checks, the first being AI and the second being a brand expert. So you have that peace of mind that a real human being who knows the brand inside and out has checked your piece thoroughly. You are also finally provided with a certificate, which is really great for your own peace of mind, but also if you're looking to sell anything in the future and you want to provide an authentication certificate in order to make it more likely that that item will sell, then you'll be able to do that as well. So it gives your future buyer peace of mind as well. If you have any items on your wish list on Vinted or Vestia or eBay that you would love to buy but you're just holding back because of that question mark over authentication, then I would highly recommend. I do have a discount code. It gets you 15% off your first authentication service, so I will leave that on screen as well as in the description box down below. I will definitely be using it again if and when, definitely when, not so much if, I buy my next designer purchase. So I've showed you my beloved Loewe QB bag. Honestly, I need to wear this more. The only regret I have about this purchase is that it's a little bit difficult to wear over the shoulder because the drop on the strap is quite short, but I do love the way it looks, and I also love to carry it just like this. It's the only bag I have that has any kind of monogramming on it. I'm really not a fan of logos and monogramming in general, but this one is so subtle that I've always loved it. This was on my wish list for 2 years, and I honestly debated buying this full price multiple times because it's on the lower price end. It was kind of within reach, but I'm so glad I waited and found it secondhand. I got this one on Vinted, as I said, and now I have peace of mind that it is definitely an authentic Loewe piece. I have 2 more bags to show you that I've bought pre-loved. This Celine bag, this is the Celine box bag, an iconic bag. This would actually be a great one to get double authenticated as well, because I heard somewhere that this is the most faked bag of all time. I don't know if that's still the case because it's a slightly older bag, but definitely in its time it was super popular, so I imagine there are a lot of fakes lying about. I'm pretty sure this one is authentic though, but yeah, I may actually get it authenticated now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it's a beautiful green bag. It is absolutely stunning. I got it for a completely bargain price considering how much these go for. I looked, that's one of my tips as well, is to really look, if you're looking at a bag on Vinted or Vestiaire or eBay, look at other bags, what they're listed for, and also if you can, I know you can do this on Vestiaire, not so much Vinted and eBay, look at how much bags like this sold for, because you can get an idea of what the going rate is, what people are actually buying these bags for, and whether you're getting a good deal or not. The final designer handbag I have, and another one that I bought pre-loved, is my Loewe basket bag. I also bought this on Vinted. This is just an iconic bag, a summer bag. It is a little bit big, I'm not gonna lie. I wish I'd gone for a smaller size. So that's another tip I would have if you're buying things on Vinted. Make sure you ask for the measurements if you are unsure at all, because I've had a couple of scenarios where I've bought things and they've either been much larger or much smaller than I initially expected, because photos can be deceiving. So make sure you're not afraid to ask your seller for additional photos if you need them for authentication, or you just want to see various different details of the item, and also for the measurements. Most sellers will be very happy to provide measurements. Even with clothing, if you're unsure of if a size might fit, if it's a brand you've never tried before, you're not familiar with, then having the measurements and measuring your body and your own measurements can be really, really helpful if you're struggling to know, because it can be difficult to buy clothing when you're unsure of the sizing and you've never tried a brand before. But yeah, that is my final bag, designer bag purchase, secondhand, and I have so many more on my wish list, so many more that I would like to add over time, but really happy with everything I've found so far. Moving on to clothes now, and I have a lot of tips and tricks when it comes to buying clothes on Vinted. My first tip, and this is how I primarily use Vinted, but this could also apply to any site, eBay, Vestiaire, Depop, Poshmark, whatever you have in your area, and it's to search by brand, not by item. So if you're like me and you have a few brands that you love to shop at, you know you already love, or you've never tried but you love the style of, you love their clothing, then type those into the search bar and see what you get, and ideally follow those search terms as well. So I have a few very specific brands that I like to follow on Vinted, and I will then be able to see if items from those brands get uploaded to Vinted. And that was how I found these cardigans. So Rose Paris is a brand that I love. I don't own many things from them because they're a little bit more expensive, and also they are from the EU, so shipping to the UK can be a little bit tricky. So I love to search for Rose Paris secondhand, and I recently came across not one, not two, but 3 of their Tom cardigans on Vinted, and I ended up buying all of them for only a little bit more than the retail cost of just one of them brand new. And as I said, I search for Rose Paris and I follow the search term Rose Paris because it's a smaller brand. There aren't many uploads. This is not really going to work if you're searching for Zara, for Shein, for H&M, because there are thousands of items that get uploaded every day under those search terms. But if you're like me and you like more niche brands, smaller brands, slow fashion brands, then I would say Rose Paris only gets like 1 or 2 hits a week on UK Vinted, and I'm always one of the first people to see them because I follow the search terms, so I get notified when someone uploads a piece under the tag Rose Paris. And as I said, that is how I found these cardigans. So I actually found this one for about £120 initially, and I instantly clicked on it because it's a style I've always wanted to try from Rose Paris. It's been on my wish list for a couple of years now. I've never pulled the plug because it's about £260 brand new, but already I was really excited to find this for 120. And my next tip is to, if you find an item you like, go onto the seller's page and see what other items they're selling, because chances are if you like one of their items you may like some of the others, and they're probably a similar size to you if they're selling something in your size. So I clicked on the seller, that's what I did, I clicked on the seller who was selling this before I purchased it, and lo and behold, she was selling two. She was selling the grey one and the dark chocolate brown one. And so I put in an offer to buy both of them for a discounted price. I bought both of them for £200 total, which is less than the cost of one on the Rosé Paris website. And she accepted because I was buying two things from her. It made shipping a little bit easier for her. She could package them all up in one bag, and she got to make a sale for not one but two items. So often that is the case with sellers. If you buy multiple items, they will offer you a discount, and you'll also get a discount on the shipping because they can ship it all in one bag. These are fantastic cardigans. They have replaced my Betty cardigans from Suzanne in my collection. I do prefer them. They're merino wool and cashmere. I think the chocolate one is actually merino wool and cashmere. The grey one is 100% merino wool. And then a few weeks later, I found the cream one because, again, I follow the hashtag Rosé Paris. This one popped up in the same size. It was, I think it was about £100 listed, and I bought it for about 90. So I haggled her down slightly. So I got all of these for about £290 for 3 cardigans, when one of them alone retails for £260. Some other knitwear pieces that I've also bought on Vinted. This Totem green jumper was another item that I kind of stumbled across. Totem is a brand that I love to search for on Vinted because it is a little bit out of my price range. That's kind of what I like to do on Vinted. I don't go for very cheaper brands. I go for more premium brands that I know I'm going to love the quality of, but I can't necessarily afford to buy full price, and Totem definitely falls into that category. I found this, I think I found this through my explore page. So Vinted and many of these apps and websites have algorithms, a little bit like social media, that will get to know you. They will get to know how you use the app, what you like to buy, what you like to favorite. And as a result, on your explore page, they will show you items like that. And it does the hard work for you. If you're not quite sure how to use Vinted or to use an app like that, then I would recommend just using it naturally, favoriting items that you like, you know, making any purchases if you want to, searching for brands that you love using the search bar. And in a week or two, the app will get to know you, and the algorithm will really understand what you're looking for, and it will show you items that you may not even realize that you wanted, but actually you really love. And that's exactly how I found this. So I get a lot of Totem coming up on my explore page now because I've searched it, I've liked a couple, I've favorited a couple of Totem items in the past, and I found this, and this I believe retails for about £450, something like that. It's still available, it's current season, and I think I bought this for about 200. So again, under half price. It's 100% wool. I love the colour of this one. It was the colour that really spoke to me. And I love that it's a v-neck. I don't have many v-neck cardigans or tops in my collection, so it was something a little bit different. I think knitwear is a category that some people can be a little bit hesitant to look for secondhand, and I understand that totally, because if you're looking for natural fibres, they can so easily be ruined if people don't take care of them. So if you're buying something secondhand, you worry that the person hasn't washed it correctly, or has put it in a tumble dryer, or has done something to it to shrink it or make it slightly damaged. And you can't really always tell that from a picture alone. So one of my tips for buying knitwear, and for buying items in general, but specifically delicate pieces like knitwear, is to search for the condition of the item. So using the filter tabs on the app or the website, filter for brand new with tags, brand new without tags, and maybe very good as well if you're happy for something to have been worn once or twice but not have any major defects. And that's how I found a lot of this knitwear. I will search for a brand name, but I will also filter for brand new with tags, brand new without tags, and all of these pieces of knitwear had the tags still on them when I bought them. The final piece of knitwear I have to show you is probably my favourite. This is a Lisa Yang cashmere knit that I bought on Vinted. This one is similar to the Totem, and it retails for about £400 to £500 brand new. I think it's old season. I don't think you can necessarily buy it anymore, but it is beautiful. It has this big funnel neck. It's 100% cashmere. Gorgeous cream colour. I absolutely love it. It's one of the most premium pieces of knitwear I've ever tried, I've ever worn, and I got this for £165. So yeah, a good saving, probably about a third of the retail price, and I couldn't be happier with it. This was also new with tags. I did haggle the person down a little bit, so that's another tip, is don't be afraid to haggle. Obviously do it respectfully. Don't take the mick. Don't, you know, put an offer in for a tenth of the price that they're asking for. But a lot of the time sellers do want to make a sale, and it's not necessarily easy to make a sale on Vinted, especially for more expensive pieces. I feel like a lot of people go onto Vinted or go onto Depop or Poshmark or eBay looking for a real bargain and only wanting to spend £5, £10, £20. So actually, if you're looking at more premium pieces that are over £100, often the sellers had them up for quite a long time and would definitely be willing to offer a discount, whether that's 10%, 15%, even 20%. So maybe go in slightly lower than you would actually buy. If someone is selling something for £100, maybe go in at 70. They might decline that, but they might offer 75 or 80 or 85, and you might be able to meet in the middle. So really don't be afraid to haggle. It's what these apps are all about. It's what they're designed to do. It's what you should be doing. The next piece I'm actually wearing is actually a pair of jeans. Now, I never thought I would buy jeans on Vinted. I feel like denim shopping is hard enough in person, in store, let alone second hand, especially if you have a body type like mine. But one of my tips, my next tip, is to, if you really love something, make sure to go in store if possible and try it on, even if it's outside of your budget. So if you ever stumble across it second hand, you'll know instantly whether it will fit or not. And that's exactly what happened with me with these jeans. So I went into, I think I was in Anthropologie a few months ago, and they stock frame denim in Anthropologie. So just out of curiosity, because I'm always interested in trying new denim brands, seeing what fits, if there's anything that will magically fit my body. And I tried on a couple of frame pairs of jeans, and I loved them. I was like blown away by the fit, but they were £270, and there was no way I was going to spend £270 on a pair of jeans. It just was completely out of my budget. But fast forward a couple of months, and I stumbled across a pair of the exact jeans that I tried on in Anthropologie on Vinted, and they were £15. £15, so reduced from 270 to 15, and it was a no-brainer because I'd already tried them on. I already knew they fit perfectly. I already knew the exact size that I was, and that was the size she was selling. I already knew the length would be good on me. I already knew that I liked the fit, the look, the cut, and so obviously I bought them without hesitation. And so because I tried them on in Anthropologie, I knew to then search for them on Vinted, and I never would have thought to even search for frame denim on Vinted if I hadn't already tried them on. So yeah, if there's brands that you're interested in but they're outside of your budget, or if there's brands you've always wanted to try but you know you'd never actually buy full price, go in store if you can, try them on anyway, see what you like, see what size you are. So then if you want to search for them second hand, you already have that information and you don't have to risk buying something that might end up not fitting. These jeans might actually be the best Vinted purchase I've ever made, just because they were so reduced and I couldn't actually believe, and I was so close to buying them full price as well. Like, even though it was outside of my budget, I was so close to saving up or trying to find a discount code and getting them slightly cheaper, because I love the fit of them so much and it's so hard to find a good pair of jeans. But yeah, I'm so glad I waited, because they cost me next to nothing, and now I have my favourite jeans, and I've worn these so much already. I've had them a couple of months and I've basically not taken them off, so definitely a good purchase. If you watched my coats and jackets video recently, you may have seen me talk about these suede jackets that I found on Vinted. I have two. I was only going to buy one, and then I stumbled across two that I really loved, and so I had to buy both because they were both such good prices. One of my tips for buying jackets especially is to try not to filter too aggressively when it comes to sizing, because a lot of these items may be vintage sizing, which runs a lot smaller, or you may be surprised something may not technically be your size but actually fit in the way you want it to. So I found both of these jackets, neither of them were really in my size. This is a size 14 and the other one I have is a size 16, but actually I knew, because they were jackets, I wanted them to be slightly oversized anyway, that they probably would fit fine. But if I'd filtered for only my size on the app, I never would have come across these, I never would have been shown these, and so I wouldn't have been able to buy them. So I would say, especially when it comes to jackets, don't be afraid to look in the men's section as well. Don't be afraid to look at sizes bigger than you are. Probably not smaller, because you're probably not going to be able to make those work. But yeah, I come across both of these, and this one was 40, I think it was 45 from memory, and it's like the perfect brown vintage suede jacket, kind of a jacket slash blazer. I probably wouldn't wear it with this oversized cardigan, but it fits beautifully. And I think it's a slightly vintage 14, so it runs a little bit more like a 12. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with this one. And then I also got the suede trench coat. This one was £80. This one for sure had never been worn. It didn't have the tags on it, but I could just tell when it came that it was in immaculate condition, and suede is something that does, you know, it does mark, it does wear quite easily if you're not careful, so I could definitely tell that this had just never been worn, and I'm so happy that yeah, I get to give it a new home, and I absolutely love this one. Actually, this one was a little bit of a risk because I wasn't sure about the colour. I wasn't sure if I would love this colour on me because it is a very warm camel, but I thought, you know, when you're buying second hand, worst comes to worst, because you're getting things generally for such a good price, you can probably resell them for a similar price. I've definitely had a couple of things that haven't quite worked out. I remember last year I bought a leather jacket for about £15. It might have even been £10 on Vinted, and when it arrived it was just a little bit too oversized for my liking. I just couldn't quite make it work, but because it was so inexpensive I easily managed to sell it on for the same price I paid for it. So yes, it takes a little bit of time to, and it's definitely a more lengthy process than buying new, but you can save so much money, and worst comes to worst, you can always resell. My final tip is actually how I find some of the best pieces on Vinted, and I feel like it's not something that I've heard many people talk about, and it's to follow influencers on Vinted or on these apps, because I think the Rose Paris cardigans, the one where I bought both of them from the same lady, I think she was an influencer. I didn't actually recognise her profile or her picture, but I could just kind of tell from the items she was selling, the brands she was selling. A lot of things were newer tags, a lot of things were quite inexpensive. She wasn't necessarily trying to make up the cost of the item, probably because she got the items for free. So the items were really good value, and the same for my South Paris trench coat or car coat that I bought from Brittany Bathgate. I got this for £70. It still had the tag on it. It said €400 on the tag, so it was a real bargain. And this was probably a gift to Brittany, and for whatever reason she decided to sell it. And so I do find really, really good items from influencers. And you don't even have to follow the influencer on social media, but sometimes when you look at their profile on Vinted, you can just tell instantly that they are an influencer. And so definitely I always make sure to follow them, so then I get notified if they upload any new items, and I can be one of the first people to look at them and see if I would like them. We're coming to the end of my rail. I think that is all of my tips and tricks for now, but I thought I would show you the rest of the items. I do have my Suzanne Renato jacket. This is another situation where I turn to pre-loved if an item is out of stock and I really love it. I will see if I can find it secondhand. So this one I did find on Vinted, newer tags. It wasn't currently available in my size, and I hadn't stopped thinking about it for months and months, and so I decided to just buy it. I think it was the same price, so a lot of times if it is a popular item, they will either try and make a little bit of money and sell it for more than it's worth, which I don't necessarily recommend buying items for more than their retail value unless you really love them, and maybe they're limited edition or something like that. But for this item I managed to pay the same price that I would from Suzanne, and I managed to get it in my size when it wasn't available. The same was actually true for my most recent Vinted purchase, which was these Adidas shoes. I really wanted these shoes. They're out of stock everywhere. I couldn't find them new, and so I went onto Vinted and there were loads in my size, and yes, some of them were over retail, but I actually managed to find these for £90, which is about what you would pay at Adidas anyway, so I was really happy. So yeah, if you're looking for something that is really popular, limited edition, out of stock, definitely check pre-loved as well, because these were in the box, brand new, and basically the same price as if I bought them from a shop. Final item on my rail is my gorgeous new totem coat. This one I bought actually on Vestiaire Collective, so I do 99% of my secondhand shopping on Vinted, but occasionally I will look at Vestiaire or eBay as well if I can't find it on Vinted, and this was the case with this. I just really wanted a really dark chocolate brown coat, but I didn't want to spend, I wanted like a really premium feeling coat and something that was quite striking, quite oversized, which a lot of the time I feel like high street coats just, even if they're made of a large proportion of wool, they just look a little bit cheap. The buttons and stuff can give it away, the shape, the length of the coat, whereas this is totem, so it feels really luxurious. It's 100% wool, it's really soft wool, it's not a scratchy high street wool that I often find in like Mango and Zara coats, and this was £200. One of the best secondhand purchases I've made all year, because I think this retails for about £1,000 new, and it looks like it's barely been worn. I mean, she said it'd been worn a few times, but honestly I don't see any wear and tear, and when you are buying more premium items, they should hold up better than high street items anyway, so you shouldn't really be able to see the wear and tear after only a few wears. And I do think my final tip when buying secondhand is to think about how you can spend your money, and almost looking at your wardrobe as this collective investment. And I'm not saying that you should think of your wardrobe as an investment in the sense that it increases in value, but If you buy things like this was £200, but it retails for £1,000. So if I ever want to sell this in the future, I could probably get £200 for it, or very close to. Whereas if I spent that £200 on a coat from Zara or Mango, and their coats can get up to the £200 mark, they would not hold their value on the secondhand market. You would probably be looking at selling these for like £30 in a few years' time if you wanted to change up your coat collection, you wanted to get something new. Whereas this is definitely going to almost, if not fully, get its money back if I ever do decide to sell it in the future. For the final part of this video, I thought we would sit down and quickly have a look at my Vinted favourites so I can show you what I'm currently loving on Vinted and what are the sort of items I tend to favourite, tend to buy secondhand. So let me share my screen with you so I can show you what I'm currently lusting after on the platform. I don't really have any Vestiaire or eBay favourites at the moment, but yeah, Vinted has so many good pieces, especially for autumn winter. Lots of coats and jackets, bags and knitwear at really good prices. So I'm really after a cropped grey jacket. Specifically, I saw this picture of Nina, I think her name is, and I love the way she styled. I actually own this skirt and I own some boots very similar to these. I really wanted to be able to recreate this outfit, and I would just love one of these cropped grey jackets, but I don't want to spend a fortune on them. Unfortunately, the two I found that I like are quite expensive still on Vinted. This Arquette one is actually the one I think she's wearing in the picture, and I thought I can probably find that secondhand, and I did, but it is a little bit expensive, so I'm just kind of sitting on those purchases for a while. I love this Dish blazer. This is a bit of a random one, like I don't really need this. I've never even tried Dish as a brand before, but it's there. I liked it enough to favourite it. This Rosé Paris knit is another knit, so I've already got my Rosé Paris cardigans. I found this one for £115. This retails for about £300 and it's in very good condition. It looks really lovely. I'm not going to buy it, I don't think, because I already have the 3 cardigans, and I also have the Lisa Yang knit, which is kind of similar to this. But if you're after a Rosé Paris fluffy, this is the Nicholas jumper, I think, and you're in the UK, go and snap that up before I buy it. This Manu Atelier bag, I am so desperate to find a Manu Atelier bag secondhand, mainly because the bag I really want is on pre-order. I would honestly buy it full price, but I can't, and I don't really want to wait until December. I feel like the pre-orders aren't, they're not shipping until December, and I'm impatient and I don't want to wait that long, so I'm determined to find one secondhand, but this is the only one currently on the secondhand market and it's not in the colour that I want, but I have favourited it anyway, just in case. This is a bit of a random one, this Lulu Studios amazing shearling coat. This is really stunning. This retails for £1,100, £400 on Vinted new with tags. If I was after a shearling coat, I mean, I would love that, but I don't really need it, but it's there. Again, I like to favourite things just in case they get heavily discounted or just in case I change my mind. Talking of frame jeans, I've got the ones I bought on now, but these ones are also £40 new with tags in my size, and I already know that I really like the fit of frame jeans, so I'm definitely sitting on that purchase. This Cafoon bag I spoke about in my August favourites video, which was my last video, talking about how I really liked this bag, and I found it on Vinted for £300 new with tags. This I think retails for about £450, so if you like this bag, if it's on your wish list, definitely check Vinted. Couple more knitwear pieces. This Lulu Studios cable knit. This reminds me of the jumper that Rory Gilmore wears in Gilmore Girls. I really like that. I don't really need it. I love this Kate beautiful scoop neck off the shoulder rib top as well. I went through a phase with coats. I've got the Totem coat now, but before I got that one, I did favourite a few on Vinted. This beautiful olive green Max & Co coat, which Max & Co is a really expensive brand, a little bit like Max Mara, not quite as expensive. So this retails for £470 and it's £299 on Vinted. I've got some blazers, another cashmere coat. Alex Mill is another brand that I love, and I found this one new with tags, £99. This retails for probably like £160. You could probably haggle her down to about £80, I reckon, for that one. There's a doe-end dress that I was looking at in the summer. Not going to buy that anymore. A couple of trench coats. I really love this trench coat, actually. This slightly awkward length. It's like a weird knee-length trench coat, but I really like it. It's from a brand called Rue Sophie, which is a brand I have heard of before, actually. I think they're an American brand. I've never tried them, but they're quite a niche, small brand, and I really like their stuff. That's about it. That's everything on my favourites at the moment. So that's everything that I'm considering buying. If you see any of those items pop up on my Instagram or on my YouTube, then you'll know that I did go ahead and make the purchase. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope my tips and tricks were interesting. If you have dabbled in secondhand shopping, but you haven't fully committed yet, then hopefully this has given you some confidence. You can use these tips and tricks when you're shopping on these apps or on these websites to hopefully find the good stuff, because there's also a lot of rubbish on these apps as well. There's a lot of fast fashion, there's a lot of, you know, very used items that maybe you don't want in your wardrobe, but actually if you know how to filter and you know how to make the algorithm work for you, you can find some real gems. Finally, I want to say a big thank you to Legit Grails for sponsoring this video. Let me know if you do use the service to authenticate any of your items. Make sure to use my discount code. If you do, it will get you 15% off your authentication. I will leave that in the description box down below, along with the link to use as well. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there are any videos you would like to see next. I will leave some videos on screen if you're not done watching. I hope you're all doing really well, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!